Namaste. Namaskaram. Welcome to Story Session. All of us human beings learn by imitation. How did we learn ABCD? I remember my school teacher would say A, B, C, D, and all of us children would repeat after her. I remember my niece, who was 1.5 years old, and she couldn't really read. But she saw her parents reading a book. So she would keep a book in her hands, and usually it will be upside down. How many of you have played the game Doctor Doctor? Remember? You'll get your parents or uncles or aunts and say, okay, show me your finger, show me your wrist, let me check your pulse. Let me check whether you have fever. Yes, you have fever. Take this medicine, you will be okay. Why did we play that game? We played that game because we imitate a doctor whom we have seen in our life. Similarly, how do we learn to behave? I remember seeing my parents doing this at the temple. And so I also did that. I saw them do a namaskaram when they saw somebody who's elder than them. And I also started doing that. Let me tell you a secret. This type of learning by imitation continues throughout our life. If we want to learn good habits and be good human beings with excellent qualities, then we need to look out for these qualities and behaviors in people and follow that. We imitate good behavior and therefore our behavior becomes good. How did such people behave in very ordinary circumstances? This set me thinking, and I'm going to narrate a few incidents from Sarada Devi's life and also tell you how that particular incident and Sarada Devi's behavior impacted me. What did I learn from that incident? Couple of things. Throughout this storytelling session, I will be referring to a book or some notes that I have prepared. So you will see me look here and look there. That means I'm referring to the book, and that is because I want to present facts as it is and also ensure that I don't miss out on anything that is very important. Second thing, I may not be in a position to pronounce Jairam Bhati and Kamar Pukur the exact way it is supposed to be pronounced. Let's go to Dakshineswar. I was at Dakshineswar last year and had the most beautiful darshan of goddess Bhavatarini. But I am taking you more than 100 years ago, at the time when SriRamakrishna was a priest at Dakshineswar temple. SriRamakrishna's native place was Kamarpukur and Sarada Devi's native place was Jairam Bhati. In those days, the journey from Jairam Bhati to Dakshineswar was 64 miles. 5 rivers had to be crossed. The rivers were Amodar, Dwarakeshwar, Mundeshwari, Damodar and Ganga. Extensive meadows and secluded roads and plenty of bandits roamed about in those areas. People had to walk all the way. There were plenty of lotus ponds and large shaded peepal trees and banyan trees, and people would take some rest from the sun under those trees. Baidyabati was the last spot from where they could take a ferry across the Ganga to reach Dakshineswar. The whole journey would sometimes take 4 days. Sarada Devi travelled 9 times between Kamarpukur, Jairam Bhati areas and Dakshineswar during SriRamakrishna's lifetime. All the journeys are recorded in a book written by Swami Chetanananda, and the book is called Sri Sarada Devi and Her Divine Play. How did Sarada Devi cover this distance? She would walk 52 miles and cross the 4 rivers by taking ferry rides, and finally cross the Ganga from Vaidyabati by boat to reach Dakshineswar. She did not wear any shoes. In the hot sun, she would walk. She would wear her sari and carry a small little cloth bundle that contained all her things. What was in that bundle? The bundle would normally contain 2 saris, jewelry, a thin towel, a cloth bag filled with mudi or pori as they call in Tamil, it's puffed rice in English, and some hard molasses, which probably is like a sugar candy, it will be sweet, bananas and some fruit. She also carried small change of coins in the upper corner of her sari, and the coins would be tied to the corner of the sari, and that is to pay the boatman. But what she did with the jewelry was very, very clever. The jewelry was hidden inside the little cloth bag which contained the puffed rice. Sarada Devi would always travel in a group. This meant she had to keep pace with everyone in the group and walk along with them. The women in the group would bathe wearing their saris in the lotus ponds and let the sun dry them and the saris. Remember, it was 4 days of walking and walking and walking and walking without shoes for the journey to be completed. What did I learn from this simple description of Sarada Devi's journey of walking 64 miles? The first thing I learned was one should be very careful and not display costly items or expensive things when they are traveling. The second thing I learned was it is always safer to stay in a group, but it also meant that I need to keep myself physically fit to walk as fast as the fastest walkers. The most important thing I learned was carry your own food when you're traveling. If there is something specific that you want to eat, carry it with you. Don't depend on others to feed you. Be self-reliant. Another incident. Sarada Devi was not educated, but she was brilliant and clever in managing the household. In 1896, Sri Sarada Devi went from Jairambati to Dakshineswar, and Swami Prabhananda has quoted from the account book of the Chatterjee family that 11 rupees was spent in travel. Where did the 11 rupees go? It went to boat fare, train fare, bullock cart fare and food expenses. Sarada Devi never got any financial support from anyone. When she had any difficulty, she would go to her mother's house and help with cooking, cleaning, washing and all household jobs. This is an account of how much she spent on each of the things that she had with her. And what all did she have with her? When you see that, you will understand she was leading a very simple lifestyle. All that she had was vermilion, comb, a box, coconut oil, a pillowcase and some money for personal expenses. What was the personal expense? She gave money to the maid who served her for the observance of Savitri Vrata. Just like married women give each other haldi kunkum, manjal kunkumam, pasupu kunkumam, arshna kunkuma in southern parts of India. So that was the kind of lifestyle that she led. Now, what did I learn from this? I think the most important thing that I learned was whatever we spend, we need to keep an account. When we write down what we are spending the money on, we feel responsible and we are careful to use the money. How to spend the money is something that comes to us naturally because we will start respecting the money and spend it wisely. The second thing I learnt was Sarada Devi paid everyone their due. The boatmen were paid, the maid was paid. She never took anything from anyone for free. Now, this is an extremely important quality that we can absorb and follow in our life. When we pay someone for the job that they do, we are respecting that person and the job also. Sarada Devi's behavior tells me to pay my dues and not keep any debt with anyone. Let's go to another incident. The Nahabat house in Dakshineswar. It was in this house that Sarada Devi stayed along with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law was staying upstairs. Sarada Devi would stay downstairs in the little space under the staircase. You couldn't even call it a room. And it was a shared room. Sarada Devi had to share it with Lakshmi and another girl. Often, Golap Ma would come from Calcutta. She was a large woman and she would also stay there with them. Such a tiny space was her living quarters. It also had to store grocery. She had to cook there. She had to store the cooking vessels, serving dishes, water pot, and so many things under the small, tiny staircase space. SriRamakrishna had a very tender stomach and could not digest the spicy, oily food cooked in the temple. So Sarada Devi would cook specially for him and also for the devotees who came to see him. No one left on an empty stomach. What was her daily routine? She would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, bathe in the river, pray and meditate for an hour and a half. And then the cooking would start. After she served lunch to SriRamakrishna and his mother, and then offer everyone betel leaves. Finally, she would eat and get some rest. SriRamakrishna told her, if a wild bird is kept in a cage day and night, it will become rheumatic. And so he would insist that she walks to the neighbors and spend time with them. She would return by evening during the Vespers. And then it was back to cooking dinner. And she had to serve everyone. And she would finally wash up and clean up and retire at about 11 p.m. What did I learn from this routine? I learned that I needed to adapt myself to circumstances and do it with a smile. If a small space is all that I have, I need to make use of it wisely and do everything in that space itself instead of crying or lamenting for something bigger. I need to use my brain and figure out a practical way to still use that space and be happy with it. Despite all her work, she had time for prayer and meditation. That is another thing I learned by watching Sri Sarada Devi's routine. Let's go to another incident. Narendra and other disciples would often go to Dakshineswar and spend the night to listen to SriRamakrishna. On those occasions, Sarada Devi would make khichuri, specially for Rakhal, as that was his favorite. One day, SriRamakrishna told her, today Naren will also eat, make something nice. With the limited resources, Sarada Devi cooked a thin moong dal and chapatis. After the dinner, SriRamakrishna asked Narendra, how was the meal? And Naren replied, it was very good, like the diet for an invalid. SriRamakrishna asked Sarada Devi, why did you make this? Please make some rich chana dal and thick chapatis for Naren. Sarada Devi made that and served Naren with love. This particular incident left a deep impact in me. When we cook something for someone, it is important to cook something that they like. Sarada Devi was a very young lady. She had taken so much pains to cook for a large group. And if it were me, I would have got angry. It is so difficult to cook in that small little space for so many people. And they are saying this. That's how I would feel. But she didn't get angry. She simply made chana dal and thick chapatis and served Naren with love. The end result of any effort is also important. That is what I learned. If I want my guests to enjoy the food that I have prepared, then I must make what they like. This incident left a lasting impression on my mind. Another thing that resonated with me was another incident. Sarada Devi was busy the whole day, cooking, cleaning, washing, serving food, and she had her hands full all the time. She was very, very busy. And yet, SriRamakrishna would often give her other jobs also. He always felt everyone must keep working and not be idle. So one day, SriRamakrishna gave Sarada Devi some jute fiber and asked her to plait it into a sling to hang pots in his room. What pots? Well, these were pots which would contain sweets. So Sarada Devi sat down, learnt how to make the slings and made them. And guess what? She even made a pillow with whatever was remaining of the jute fibers. This was her way of not wasting anything. We talk a lot about zero wastage and promoting sustainable lifestyles these days. She was already doing it in those days. Over the years, I have learned to work with my hands, and now I realize what a joy it is to make something beautiful with my hands. Using our hands is something that might disappear very soon if we are not careful. Many people have forgotten how to write, and that is because they are always using the hands to write on the computer. Using the hands is very important to stay healthy and keep the brain occupied. I realize how dangerous it is these days because we continuously watch some screen or the other. It's a phone or a laptop or a tablet or a computer or a TV. When we work with our hands, it is an opportunity to think about various things, and it gives us a much needed respite from overexposure to electronic gadgets. This was something that I learned from that experience of Sarada Devi. SriRamakrishna would consult his wife often. When he asked her for an opinion about various matters, she would sometimes say, "Please excuse me, I would rather not answer now. I shall give you my opinion later." And SriRamakrishna would ask her, "Why? Why can't you answer me now? Who are you going to consult to give me an answer?" And Sarada Devi would just say, "Oh, let me think a little, and then I shall talk to you about this." She would pray to Divine Mother Kali and give the answer the next day. This is very important for all of us. Very often we say something that we regret later on. Sometimes we get angry and say things that we don't mean to say, and we feel bad and everyone else feels bad. We can learn from Sarada Devi's behavior that it is not always necessary to give an answer immediately. It is okay to take some time to think. More so when we disagree with somebody, especially when we are provoked and when we are angry. It is better to say, "I will talk about this tomorrow. Give me some time. Give it some rest. And maybe we will get a better answer the next day, and nobody will be hurt by our behavior or by the words that come out of our mouth." Sarada Devi looked after her husband's cottage and maintained it very well, even when she did not have any money, even to buy a sari and replace her torn saris. She got enough share of rice from SriRamakrishna's portion of the fields, and she used a little for herself and distributed the rest. There is so much to learn from the small incidents in Sarada Devi's life. By learning from her behavior, by learning from her reaction to normal, ordinary circumstances, we can become better human beings. I will come back another day with some more incidents and narrate those incidents to you and also share with you what I learned from those incidents. In the meanwhile, think about all these little incidents that you heard today and think about how you can make a change to your own life. Namaskaram. Thank you.
Dear children, Namaste. I hope you're enjoying the videos that we have posted on our YouTube channel so far. If you have any queries on morals, on values, or if you have any doubts on religious practices, you can post your queries to our email ID, that is office@rkmmvcc.org, and we will answer your queries through our YouTube channel. Thank you. Thanks. Namaste.